It's 3 p.m. Let's just give it 1 or 2 more minutes before others have a chance to join us. So we'll start at 15:02, let's say. All right, so we have a minute or two past 3. So I guess let's start the webinar. We were observing in our old product that it encouraged some anti-patterns in the Scrum, which we didn't like, of course. And we felt like there should be some software tool which supports the Scrum methodology and really prevents the Scrum anti-patterns. So we decided to build it. And today on this webinar, we would like to share with you the lessons that we learned during this process. So as for the agenda of the webinar, we will talk about Scrum Anti-Patterns, and we will break it down into 3 areas. First, we're gonna talk about backlog and refinement. We're gonna follow up with the collaboration inside the Scrum team during the sprint, and we will close it up at the review. We want to really focus on the tactical insight when working with Scrum team as the product owner mainly. We're not going to talk about product management, product development, strategy, vision, discovery, experimenting, DevOps, and things like that. We hope that on this webinar, you will be able to identify some Scrum anti-patterns that you might be facing in your company. Or maybe hear some principles to follow, or maybe just have a little time to reflect on how you are currently working in your Scrum and be a little more efficient next time around. Who are we? My name is Jan, and I'm the Chief Product Owner at Easy Redmine. I will be the host of the webinar, and I have Jan Pavera with me today. Hello, Jan.
Hello everyone, I am.
Hello. And Jan is the area product owner who worked on the development of the Scrum Boards with the development team. And just for you who might not know that, we will be presenting these Scrum Anti-Patterns on the Scrum Boards. That is one of the features of Easy Redmine. Easy Redmine is software for project management, which combines waterfall and agile methodologies in one tool. We have prepared content for approximately 30 minutes. At the end of the webinar, we will have Q&A section. If you want to ask any question during the webinar, you can use the Q&A section in your Zoom. And obviously we are recording this, so you will be able to follow up in the email with the recording that will be sent after the webinar. All right, that's who we are, and we would like to ask you as well, so we know who has joined us today. So let me launch this little survey. You should be able to see it on your screen at the moment. And we would just like to know, what is your role within the Scrum team, and for how long have you been working in your current position? So please fill it in. I think it should be really short and simple. Okay, we are almost there. Interesting. So I will end the survey. I'm going to show you the results. You should see them on your screen. So we have 40% of other roles within the Scrum, okay, and almost half of the people with less than 2 years of experience. Okay, interesting. Okay, and now let's jump into the first topic that are anti-patterns in backlog and refinement. So you're probably familiar with this picture of the Scrum framework. In this block, we will focus on the very first section or first part of the Scrum process, backlog, and refinement. So what are typical anti-patterns? It's unrefined product backlog, unestimated items, or items that are too big and they are not able to fit inside the sprint. So with that, I have a first question for you, Jan. So can you share with us, how do you manage your backlog? Product owners are usually busy people, often overwhelmed. So how are you able to collect and manage different incoming requests?
Sure, yeah, no problem. So, based on our experience, the most effective way to manage your backlog is to establish a simple funnel with the 3 stages: inbox, to refine, and refined. So, let me jump to it, to our product. Here, as you can see, is our product backlog board, one of the board from our Scrum Boards feature. And here are also 3 stages: inbox, to refine, and refined. And let's have a look closer to the inbox. So what is the inbox? Inbox is the place where incoming all user stories, bugs, other tasks or issues, and other requested. This stage of the funnel allows me to filter, for example, the user stories or bugs, and also allows me to communicate with the client through the comments or specify more their problem or their needs. So here is my daily job: to evaluate and select the most valuable and priority task for the next stage, to refine, where I create the backlog item just by moving the task from inbox to this stage, or I can quickly remove the item from the inbox, just move into the trash bin. And so let's continue to the next stage. Here in to refine stage is the place where the backlog items are ready for refinement session, where the team prepares the solution for the client's needs and estimate the work. So here we are able to categorize the items according to the color, for example, or just add the emojis there. And we are also to split the items to the smaller piece. For example, here is should be some analyze first, and then realize it. And done, and it is split in the second, to be sure that the item is small as is possible to deliver it during the one sprint. And of course, you are able to estimate the items with just story points or hours, as you are used to. And when backlog item is ready, I just move them to the next stage, refine stage. And the refine stage is the place where the backlog items are ready for the realization in upcoming sprint. So in the end, this board setup ready from the box for you allows me to manage the backlogs on daily basis. Don't be overwhelmed, keep the backlog tidy and focus on the most important feature request bugs or tasks. And I am able to prepare them with my team to realization. Of course, I'm easily able to order or reorder to items to prioritize them from the top, move them from the stages to other stages, or just resize the stages to see what I need in one stage. And of course, the nice thing is that I'm able to filter it according to the color or just the emoji. So if I click on this emoji for the bug, here I can see just the filtered bugs items, and it's real nice to use it.
Okay, nice. So your backlog is basically a funnel. You just moved it 90 degrees, but the principle is the same. You mentioned that backlog is focused on what is important at the moment. In other words, it is not trying to catch all the feedbacks or all the ideas that arrive. So there must be some filtering going on, or you must have some other place where you keep your bigger long-term ideas like company priorities, product goals, roadmap, future projects. So how do you do that?
Okay, let me share the product again. As you said, the backlog board here is focused on the short time period, let's say work for next few weeks. But for some feature development, I like to use a story mapping visualized in our WBS mind map, where I have all epics or user stories with all description and information from the high level, and I'm able to move them to the backlog. Oh, sorry, I moved them again there. So I just opened the detail of the task and assign those user stories to my backlog. And if I come back, here it is in the inbox, and I can push it to the funnel as other tasks. So here in the mind map, there is my, let's say, long-term high-level backlog for the roadmap, and the short-term work is continuously managed in the backlog board. Another way how to do it is, for example, to set up a master list. In our case, reported bugs from our clients, and the most important of them, again, move to the backlog board. So here, if I move the backlog board, here is it again in the inbox. So I'm able to compare all the incoming bugs, issues, and feature development here in my backlog board and select the most valuable of them to the realization. And from the high level, I use classic project management with the WBS mind map or just the large master list of some tasks, issues, or bugs.
Okay, thanks, Jan. Interesting. So you are keeping separated what is important at the moment, and that's in the backlog, so that the team can focus on that, and you have the other stuff somewhere else.
Yeah.
And also it felt interesting to me that you have the trash bin, so you clean the backlog regularly, and as you clean the house, small cleanings every weekend are better than
Exactly.
cleaning once a year. Nice. Do you have any recommendation from your experience on what's the maximum number of backlog items that should reside within the backlog?
Yeah, from my experience, and I read it somehow, somewhere, that your mind, your brain is able to focus only on, let's say, 30 items, which they are on the board, to know detailing what is in them and be able to compare them together and prioritize them. So, from my experience, if there is more than 40 items in the stage, I need to clean it up, reorganize, or put it back to the inbox, or remove it from the backlog and start with discussion with the client or stakeholders if it's really so important there, for example.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for sharing. Okay, before we move to the second section, I would like to ask yet another question. We are talking about challenges and anti-patterns. So you should see on your screen another survey that is asking what challenges you face in your daily work in Scrum. We talked about backlog. We will be talking about collaboration and refinements. It's interesting to hear from you what is the biggest challenge that you are facing? Okay, I can see that a lot of replies are arriving. So far, large backlog. I will share the results with you after majority of you submit the replies. So I can imagine that must be interesting for you as well. Okay, so let's end the poll here. And I'm gonna share the results with you. So large backlogs number one with 60%. Inadequate resources, of course. Non-transparent priorities. Yeah, that's the tough one. Okay. Stopping sharing the results, and let's continue with our second area, which is collaboration. So in the Scrum framework, we are focusing on what's the team doing, daily Scrum within one sprint. To illustrate a few anti-patterns, I will quote a few scenarios from my own experience. So once there was a developer who told me something in the lines of, code is done, now I'm waiting for the testing, but it takes ages. Another developer once told me, only Josh can work on task X. He is the only one who knows about it. As you can imagine, this all led to lower performance, lower velocity, and overall disappointments on all fronts. Which leads me to a question for Jan. In Scrum Boards, in Easy Redmine, there are only 3 columns on a team board: to do, work in progress, and done. So the question is, why is that? Why can't admins add more columns? Because in other tools, it's possible to have something like 5, 6, 7, or even more columns.
Okay, nice topic. As you said, most common Scrum tools allows you to set up multiple columns, which basically represents the workflow steps or piece of work split for the team members. And it should build a wall between the team members. They focus only on their part of work, and it causes the less team collaboration and rigid workflows. In our case, why only 3 columns? We believe that every piece of the work in the sprint has only 3 statuses. That's why here just the to-do status, realization, and done. And why is that? Because of the shared responsibility, which is the main principle of the Scrum team, we would like to do it in a different way. So we designed this team sprint board, and where each backlogs item are wrapped in the swim line, and you are able to create the small sticky notes instead of the work pieces in the columns, which represents the work in the small daily task and should be assigned to team member. Here is a test it again, or write tests. Yeah, you can assign it to your team member. Your team member is able to push it to realization. And of course, you can delete it in the 1 second. So thanks to this visualization, you get more transparency and supported team collaboration. You are able to work in a parallel way, as you can see here, to finish all these small piece of work and then accomplish to the backlog items to be done. So another advantages is flexibility, because any team or your company can easily create their own workflows without any extra columns added by some administrator, which should be sometimes annoying. Here you have flexibility and you can set up your own workflow for each backlog items type. So everything on the board is in the team's hand. Where something is done, they just move up the swim lines and start working on the together with next backlog item. As you can see now, we try to inspire it in the real world. The classic way is when the team stands near the table or wall and has paper sticky notes on it with work that must be done. All team members are present in the room and collaborate together. We inspire there and try to digitalize these principles to this board. So in the end, just 3 columns represented the status of the work, not the workflows. And the workflow, or let's say piece of work, are visualized by the sticky notes. Because of the transparency, shared responsibility, and preventing of rigid workflows or less cooperation.
Interesting. So it really looks like a physical board, which is very simple, just physical paper sticky notes that are, taken from the board and put into a different column.
Exactly.
I've also noticed there is the sprint goal at the top of the board, so the team always sees it. That's interesting. And if I, my take on this approach with the 3 columns is that basically breaking down those silos with, like, let's say 8 columns where everybody is focusing on just their column. So instead of that, trying to narrow down the process into just 3 columns, which is improve the collaboration so that everybody speaks to each other, which is the fundamental principles of Scrum, the collaboration is. Okay, interesting. I can imagine it must be a big change to jump from many columns that we used as well in the past to just 3 columns. So what was your reaction from the team or experience with when the team started using these team boards?
Yeah, this is a great question. We implemented this board during the development of the Scrum boards to test it on ourselves. And immediately the teams love it. The sticky notes gave them the flexibility to create their own workflows, work steps for each type of task, user stories, and bugs. And it increased rapidly the communication within the team and collaboration. And the team started to deliver sprint goals more effectively. And as I know, they used this board in daily stand-ups meetings, and it became the single point of truth for them. And what was nice for my observation, that more than that, they used the sticky notes for just the, let's say, basic notes. For example, buy coffee for daily. Yeah. And it was really nice because they just use it as a physical board, and it confirms the hypothesis which would like to get through this board.
Okay, interesting. Okay, let's move on. Our final section is about review. Review is the final element of the Scrum framework where the customer gets the increment. Typical anti-patterns related to the review is unfinished work, the review not being well prepared, which leads to the clients being annoyed and not really seeing the value of the review, or the review actually turning into status update where you just present how things are and not really thinking of how to move forward and what's the delivered value to the client. Which leads me to a questions. What do you think, Jan, are the key elements of a review?
Okay, let's share me with you the last board from Scrum Boards. And it is the sprint overview board. It is designed for the sprint planning, and in your case, for the review, where the client has a high-level, clear overview with the most important information. So it is just the goals, the duration of the sprint, and the statuses of the work in the current sprint. And here, through this board, team presents to the clients what they delivered during the sprint, and of course, collect the feedback, which is the most important, immediately in the backlog board. Here in the left part is the part with the backlog board, and I'm able to create in the second feedback from client, and describe what he told us. Client needs to, etc. So this is the key element of the review. Collect feedback immediately, back to the backlog, and confirm it with your client. Why? Because the team has everything ready for the next refinement session. If I create the item here in this board, it is ready in the backlog board now for the next refinement session. And we are able to prepare it for the next sprint immediately. And it's nice. So this allows the teams to be flexible and react to the client's needs, which is important for agile way of development. So in the end, the team can move backlog items done together with the client if they are satisfied with their work, accomplish the goals, and here close the sprint and prepare it for the next sprint planning. So in the end, the key values are clients must be the part of the review or some representative of the clients, you need to collect feedback immediately back to the backlog, not in some, let's say, nodes out of the system, but directly to the backlog where they are ready to refinement and the next realization, and evaluate with the clients that they are satisfied with the delivery, and if you finish the sprint goals, because it's the most important thing when the sprint is running. And that's why we designed this last board, Sprint Overview, where you manage sprints, everything about that, and making the client's review there.
So you want to take advantage of having the client at the review and immediately record as much feedback as possible, and then decide on what to do with it. Okay, thank you, Jan, for your sharing. It was very interesting. And let's follow up immediately with Q&A section. We have some questions here in the Zoom, so let me open it up. How do checking that the whole user story is delivered when it is too big to be delivered during one sprint iteration? Question by Peter, actually, or questions are by Peter. Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I try to understand the question, but I suppose that here in the story mapping, I suppose it is maybe here. Yeah, here is the whole story represented by the user story, and then the user story are splitted to the backlog items. Here you can list the more than one, as many as possible, and maybe you as a product or project manager, you are able to see that all the separated backlog items delivering during the sprints are finished together to bring the whole solution to the story. So you are able to relate that every backlog items or many of the backlog items with some user stories here from the task high level, and control it in the time where the backlog item is, if it's just in a refinement stage, or if it is in the realization, in the sprint board, or if it is done. And after time is come, you are able to see that if everything is done, all user story should be the finished from the start to the end.
So you relate the PBIs to a task, and the task can represent some bigger portion, either epic or user story, or however you set it up. Okay.
Yeah, and I suppose that each, not in this case, yeah, the backlog items of course there's a relation back to the user story. Yeah, and here, for example, here is the example. Yeah, here you can see that there is some estimation in which team sprint board it is, and you can add, for example, in which sprint it was delivered, and what is the status of the backlog item. So it was deleted, and they are waiting to refine. But you can imagine that there should be another status. Some is done, some is realized, and some waiting for realization or refinement.
And I remember you also use the, let's say, categorization option right in the backlog, like the colors or emojis, to kind of keep track of some things that are related to each other but are not able to be finished in one sprint.
Yeah, in this case, there's some there's here this on our demo data. I have, for example, emoji putting together all backlog items which relates to, let's say, some payment issues, and it is wrapped in some one story, and I am able to filter it according to the emoji. So I'm able to make every team is able to make them some color coding or emoji coding to filter it and categorize the items in the backlog.
Okay, we have 3 more questions, so let's take them as we, I believe, have time. So second question: do you have some example of bigger long-term project? For example, more than 1 year with more than 50 user stories, which is developed continuously by Peter. So I guess the Scrum Boards itself were an example of approximately 1-year-old project with more than 50 user stories.
Again, I suppose I'm not able to show you our data in our system, but again, the Scrum Board was a long-term project. It takes more than 1 year of the development, and I really use the mind map for the splitting or the user stories to mind map, and I organize, let's say, 3 epics according the each board. Each board was some epic, and the epic has the main user stories, and I split it to the small user stories. And I, of course, set up the roadmap with the milestones to have some overview on the whole project. We know that it is agile development, but in the, let's say, 1 year or half-year long term, you definitely can use some techniques from waterfall project management, use the roadmap, use the milestones to know what must be done in some part of time, and then you go with it to the backlog board, and you are more agile there and trying to deliver the most valuable part of the stories and review it for each sprint with the clients to know that you accomplish the roadmap and the milestones, but you deliver only and you focus only on the most valuable and important thing, which is the basic theory of the agile development. So this is my experience, and I suppose that the WBS mind maps should be more large than you see there, and is a real great tool for the large project with combination with, let's say, classic Gantt or roadmap or milestones grouping.
Okay. Third question. You describe ideal project or very simple project where is 100% replaceable developers. Typically, we need very specific technical specialization on the work. Is it real? And how to do it works? I think I might use a misleading example during my take on the anti-patterns. I think what is meant here is, of course, the one superstar, the developer that has very specific skills is not really replaceable. But this person usually is not alone, is not on the island, and he still needs some support from somebody who is doing UX for them and who is testing together with this developer, because we are assuming that we are working in a Scrum team. So it's still about the collaboration, because this developer is not able to end-to-end cover the user story without support from other people with different skills. And that's where the collaboration within one sprint comes into my mind, and that's why just 3 columns and little steps represented by the sticky notes. What do you think, Hamza, on that?
Yeah, from our experience, we try to set up the multifunctional team, and of course, it should consist of the seniors developers and some, let's say, junior developers. But from our experience, the senior developers or some, let's say, full stack developers sometimes or always need to help with something or delegate something, and that they are together in the one team to collaborate together and help each other and focus on the, let's say, prepared work, planned work in some sprint. And honestly say it is their job how they deal with that, how they split the work, because the Scrum teams there are less micromanagement, and the Scrum teams should be self-organized and they should be know what one guy is possible to do it and another guy according their capabilities or experiences or seniority. So sometimes we try to split the team for some senior guys or just some technical team, but we always turn back to some multifunctional team because they are more flexible for each topic, and we gave them some responsibility to be self-organized and do it the delivery according they want.
And that doesn't exclude the fact that there is one super skilled developer which is skilled in one specific area, because he still needs the support from other skill sets.
Of course, there should be somebody with the experience, for example, with DevOps, and he knows everything, and he is the contact person, let's say, with another team, which is specialized for DevOps parts. But we know that he is in the team and he's able to help each other in the team and be the, let's say, the communication link to the another team, because because he know more than everyone in the company.
Last question. Is it possible to write spend time on the sticky note? We must prepare reports for each task we have done.
Nice question. We also tried to deal with that, and for now we just using the relation on the user stories, because we try to keep the simple as possible as these backlog items. So there is just, as you can see, there is just the title and description and estimation, but there is a relation to the basic user story. And then here you are able to log time and then report it, the logged time not according to backlog item, because this is the items for the team during the sprint. It's their work of piece of work, and for, let's say, for some project managers or product managers, they all information about logging time on the user story here. So you can here log the time, and right now we try to implement it in this way, and I suppose it's great from feedback from our developers that it works. Only what's to be done is that you need to assign the backlog items in some tasks.
Yeah, and it's true that this product is not on the market for a long time, so we'll see where it goes, because it might be it might be a good idea to add some shortcut to log spend time straight from the PBI. We'll see.
Some parts are still open.
Yes.
of
Yeah.
course.
So thanks, Jan, for sharing. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed the discussion. Thanks for the questions. And I just want to say that we've been building these Scrum boards based on lessons learned from more than 200 teams. We collaborated with the Scrum.org certified trainer. So we believe that there is a really lot of best practices and knowledge that is in these boards. Implemented in these boards. So if you're interested in them, you can just go to easyredmine.com, set up a trial and try it on your own. We would also like to know how valuable this webinar was for you. So I'm gonna launch the last survey. So it would be really valuable for us if you share with us how you felt in this webinar, if you learned something. And again, thanks, Jan, for sharing, for presenting. I hope this was valuable for all of you who joined us today, regardless of whether you're gonna try or use the Scrum boards in Easy Redmine or just an inspiration of what can go wrong in the Scrum and what can create Scrum anti-patterns. So thanks for joining us and see you maybe next time. Have a good day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.